Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take it from the Iron Woman. Again, we have only special guests, but today I have the honor to have Jan Sommers again. We have met in 2009 in Nepal, and we've met a few other times, but still in contact. A fantastic person, photographer, coach, consultant, and also
poet.
A good chef, I think. So introduce yourself. What else did I forget here on your resume?
Hello. I think it was quite rightly said, those things. Yeah, photography, poetry, writing, making sketches, drawing, next to my professional business as an independent coach consultant now since 1991.
Let's talk a little bit more on the art aspect. I know photography, poetry, sketches. How does that all come together and when do you do it?
It's been, when I refer to the pandemic period of the down period, sort of like business went down, as with many people facing the same challenge or the same problem, shall we say. There was plenty of time, and I was already for years working on my photography and writing poetry. Then I sort of picked up, some people were saying in my family that I'm okay with drawing sketches. And I thought maybe I'll have to pick that up again. I did some autodidact on it and tried to slowly but surely start with sketching. Also with the poet, I was back in 2020, shortly when the lockdown period started, March 2020. I happened by accident via Facebook. I bumped into a Facebook Live session of Billy Collins, which is the former poet laureate from the United States. He's now 81 years old, but he's very much alive and kicking. And during the pandemic, every day, every evening at 5:30 Eastern time, which is very late here in Belgium, but every night he did a poetry broadcast. He read his own poetry, but also other poems. By linking to that Facebook Live, I started really appreciating the English American poetry and started also writing English poetry. And there is a vast community around Billy Collins, all the fans of Billy Collins. Within that group of the fan club, shall we say, of Billy Collins, which has the fantastic name, The Cool People, The Night People, referring to some radio program, I think, in the past. The Cool People, The Night People. So that's how they call the fan club, which I found quite great. We share a lot about poetry. And what I started doing was in sort of like real time when Billy Collins was doing his Facebook poetry broadcasts, I picked certain phrases or certain words or certain verses, and I made a quick sketch about it. By the time that the poetry broadcast finished, I had already a drawing on the Facebook page of the fan club. Although mainly I write Flemish Dutch poetry, but I also write quite a lot of English poetry by now. In fact, my fan base is now spread from America, Ireland, England, Italy, France. Now, the link to the business, so that kept me mentally and emotionally engaged by doing that. It was a learning process for me. It was a way of connecting to people. It was a way of expanding my network. That was all happening during the pandemic. And then I sort of started thinking about how can I use those skills into a more business-like setting. People that follow me on LinkedIn, for instance, they will notice that I post frequently ideas about how I see management, leadership, organizational development, organizational dialogue, dream building, all these kind of things. I very often put my own sketches as a way to, rather than a downloaded picture. Back in the time of the pandemic, I also made about 30 practical tips of advice about working from home. And I made for every tip of advice, I'm a drawing, illustrate the tip of advice, which I then dispersed around my network of Belgian managers and directors. It's like making use of the drawing and the wording, and sometimes I use my own photography material.
In a way, it's taking up the time when there was not much happening, evolving and developing other skills that you're also passionate about. I remember when we met, you started with the Nose to Nose project. Yes. It has evolved. Each time I meet and reconnect with you, it seems you have another project.
Yeah, yes, that's true. That's true. It's the United Noses for Wisdom and Peace, Nose to Nose. The wisdom comes from connecting people, represented by people bringing their nose together with the other nose of another person. That was pre-COVID. People could really get close nose to nose. I started that project, and my dream is to have 100,000 people around the world making each at least 10 pictures of nose to nose, so that we can say we have quite a number of people meeting.
And how many noses pictures do you have at the moment?
I have taken about 400, but I haven't counted them. My idea is to have a book published with the nose to nose pictures with the quotes. It's trying to find an editor. That's what I'm sort of like working on projects. I'm doing a photography poetry project on people wearing tattoos. It's special stories. What I'm looking for is people who have a specific story behind their tattoos. I do an interview about the tattoo and the story. Then I do a photo shoot in the studio, and then I write a personalized poem based on the story. So I have quite a number of stories now with tattoos, which I've pictured. I'm trying to work on a project with the title is Watch My Back. So what I do is, again, the life story of a person, and I write a personalized poem, and then I write it on the back of that person, and I take a picture of it. Watch my back, which is obviously insinuating on the meaning of watch my back, but also literally. I'm also now trying to come in connection with a number of hospitals where people are in the terminal phase of their disease, like palliative. I don't know if that's English, palliative care. One of my ambitions is, that's the most meaningful that one can do, is write a poem for people who are at that stage in their life and they want to leave something for the people that will be left behind when they're no longer there. So what I want to do is to listen to the life story and the message from people who are terminally ill in the palliative care stadium. Listen to their life story, create a poem for them so that they can offer that to their family or to their friends or do whatever they want with it, even for their own sort of like care. I'm talking with some people. There's a hospital very near who is interested to start offering that for the people who are there. So
I'm amazed, like the creativity that you show and that you're so caring, and there's so many avenues we can use the poetry, the photography, the sketches. It's not only just to write it, but then what do you do with it and how do you spread it to other people in a meaningful way?
For a long time, I've been sort of like struggling in a way of, I am using my time to make drawings or to write poems. sort of, what am I doing with my time? When it makes sense, and when you start connecting and make it meaningful, not just for fun, but make it meaningful, then it becomes more than just some free time writing or drawing or whatever. That's the way I see it. And it helped me to mentally and emotionally survive the pandemic and the effects of.
You mentioned it to make meaningful. And before we recorded, we were talking about organizational development that should actually be organizational dialogues, opening up, changing the mindset of others and make it meaningful. I think that's what I'm taking away. It's that appreciative inquiry approach, positive psychology, and use it to help others to get to where they want to go.
To make them, first of all, aware of what is the track that I'm walking. There's a lovely poem from Robert Frost, who is an American poet. Long time ago, he was a poet at the inauguration speech of Kennedy. But he wrote a poem about where he came in the Yellow Woods, and there was two roads, and he describes the two roads, and then he says, I took the one road that has made all the difference, which in essence is the poem about. It's like you have two roads and you choose one, and that has made all the difference, that I took this road and not that road. It's about when people are on the road, helping them to keep their focus, to get it clearer, and to make them aware of, why am I doing this? Why am I walking my path? What's in it for me, but also what's in it for the world, and what's in it for our community, and what's in it for my family and for other people. That makes a valuable element of creating a very humanized business world for a better world. Because I believe that businesses are just like David Cooperrider and Lindsay Godwin from Appreciative Inquiry are working on, like business as agents for the better change of the world. I'm sort of quite convinced on that one as well. Business creates opportunities to raise your standard of comfort and living, but also opportunity to do something meaningful with your life. Exactly. And I don't like when I hear people say, it's about finding the work-life balance. I react allergically to that, because when you are working, you are alive. When you are alive, you may be working on things. I'm not so in favor of work-life balance. It's about, where do I put my energy and how do I recover? That should be in balance.
Again, that word meaningful is so meaningful, because we all have to create which path we want to go. We all have options. Nobody tells us to go left. We can go right. Also, when we're not happy, there are options. That work-life balance, if it's too much, we can change it. Change is the hardest, and not everybody is ready for the changes. It's being clear of what you want, and then pick one way to go.
And then step by step. There is a professor in Belgium wrote, or his wife actually, when she was terminally ill, wrote a book, and the title, it's about self-care. And the title of the book is Choose and Love Your Choice. But then in Dutch, in Flemish. Choose and love your choice. Rather than sort of like paralyze yourself by thinking, is this the right choice? It's about choose and then love your choice and make it a success. You do that step by step.
Yeah. And you can always pivot. Why do we always have to follow one way? There's many ways.
If I look at the art part of my life, that can go certain ways. My business part can go certain ways. They can intermingle as they do now for certain things. It can go all different ways. Yeah. Shall I read a short poem for you?
Oh yes, that would be lovely.
And in fact, it's one with a little drawing, and you see a girl with a horse there. And the poem goes like this: The Brown Horse, after D.H. Lawrence, who wrote a story about another color horse. The Brown Horse after D.H. Lawrence by Jan Sommers. In silence, she slowly slides the halter onto its head. The horse too, silently gazing, both looking forward to the same, to a future.
Thank you so much. This is just a perfect ending for the podcast that we will be publishing that is looking forward into 2023. Thank you so much for sharing this. We wish you good luck.
You never know what happens.
You never know. Thank you so much for this reading. What a wonderful start of 2023. Which path, which direction are you going? All the best to fun-filled, meaningful 2023. Take it from the Iron Woman. We have episodes every Monday. Don't miss out. Be part of this. Listen to cool people. Everybody has a cool story. We're here for you. And Take It from the Iron Woman is the book, Global Business Coaching with Sports Parallels. Read it, download it, get it from your local bookstore. Support small businesses. Thank you for your support. Until next time, bye-bye.